Hey everyone, today is February 1st. So I'm going to start answering the Q&A questions because I got way more than I expected, which I'm happy for, so don't get me wrong, like I'm really excited that you guys all asked me questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this like a million-part video. And I may not make all of them right now because there's lots of questions and there's more coming, so don't stop asking them either, keep going. So, okay, this is going to be part one of the eating disorder related questions. If I'm looking that way, it's because my laptop is right there, which is where I have the questions written. Okay, so the first question. During your years of being eating disordered, have you ever had a period where you were okay with how you looked and what you ate, as opposed to intense periods of feeling like need to lose weight, or has it been the same, or has it gotten worse? That's a good question. I have periods, like, in hindsight where I look okay, but I've been sick a long time, and I can't really remember what it was like at the beginning. I don't remember really ever being satisfied with, like, how I looked and stuff. I remember, like, having a goal weight and getting there and being like, oh, it's not good enough. But I think last fall, not the one we just had, but the fall before that, and winter, I was about as okay with how I looked as I've ever been. My weight was pretty stable. I would eat and not worry quite as much as I do. But I would say it's stayed the same. It kind of does like this, but it generally stays about the same. The next question is the same question, but then the end part is, do you think life gets better / worse or stays the same as you get older? I don't think age has much to do with it. Not as far as like how your eating disorder goes, because I've seen people of all ages with eating disorders. I believe the youngest person I've ever met with an eating disorder was 6, and the oldest in her 80s. I don't think it really has much to do with age. You do get smarter about some things as you get older. But it's more about experience, I think, and just like the course your life takes and how your eating disorder develops or diminishes or even goes away. How has your eating disorder affected your sexual desires? That is a really good question. Corky's gonna be like, ugh, if he ever sees this. But basically, I have no sex drive. I don't know whether that's. I think it's a combination of a lot of factors that cause that to be the case. First of all, my cholesterol is incredibly low, so therefore my body doesn't really make all the hormones that it's supposed to. So things don't go as smoothly, if you get what I'm saying. Also, because I have a lack of hormones, I have, like, no sex drive. Like, I just don't have it. Like, it's just hard to do. Add to that the fact that I hate my body, and it's kind of a hard thing to deal with. However, if you're struggling with that, which you may be, I found, sorry, this is funny to say, but once you get started, it gets better. Okay, what is your fiance's view on your body dysmorphia? I asked him that, and here's his answer verbatim. Quote, I don't understand it. I don't understand how you can see something that isn't actually there. It's frustrating because it's hard to listen to you put yourself down as much as you do, particularly for something that isn't a reality. Know what I mean? Bottom line, not a big fan of the whole body dysmorphia. There's your answer about that. The next part of that question says, if he makes compliments or says anything about your appearance, what is it like for you? Most of the time it's like, it's not that I don't believe him. I just don't see it that way. It's more like I believe that's what he sees, but I don't see it. So it's often like if I say, oh my gosh, I look really fat, and he says, no, you don't look fat. Like, I don't know how to reconcile that. Like, I know what I see, and I know what my fingertips can feel on my body, but, like, I don't know. I think I have to, like, acknowledge that I have absolutely no idea what I look like. But it's hard sometimes when he makes compliments. But at the same time, if he didn't make them, I think I'd be even worse off than I am. And then the last part of that was, have you made rules for what to say / what not to say? The only really rules I have are don't tell me I look healthy. And that's about it. And not to ignore me. If I'm like lamenting about how I look or whatever, don't ignore me, because I take his silence to mean that, like, why, yes, you do look fat, actually. Which is not what he means at all. Okay. How do you deal with people who just automatically judge you when they find out about your anorexia? I educate them. That's how I deal with them. I educate them. Some people can't be educated. And you'll probably find that. I have educated a lot of people over my time of being sick. I like to think I do it tactfully, but, or I just get irritated with them and don't say anything. Not the best approach, but sometimes it's all you can do. How do you deal with days when you feel so awful about yourself that you don't even want to get out of bed? Not getting out of bed isn't really a choice for me. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me, depending on how you want to look at it, I have a job that requires me to get up in front of a mirror and shake my ass and smile and be happy about it for an hour at least at a time. I have to exude good energy, because if I don't, my class won't, and then it makes it harder for me. I don't have an option of not getting out of bed. Although there are those days when I really don't want to. You just gotta keep on, is what I would say. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to answer this question in the frame of recovery. I only know how to answer it in the frame of, like, having an eating disorder, but I just tell myself I'm going to do better. And work harder, and I tell myself nothing's irreversible, and that, I mean, I'm very much the kind of person that's just like, you gotta do what you gotta do, even if it sucks. Like, that's how I made it through school. And a lot of jobs and stuff. Like, you just gotta do what you have to do, and getting out of bed is what you have to do. Avoid the mirror if you can. Something I do sometimes is, if I have like a favorite piece of clothing, I'll wear that, if possible. Yeah, that's about it. Have you ever had a therapist that you absolutely hated, and how did you deal with him or her? Yeah, I've been in therapy since the 2nd grade. I've had lots of therapists that I really hated, especially when I was young. But I didn't have a say, I just had to go. Now, if I have a therapist that I haven't had one that I hated in a really long time, but if I have a therapist that I don't like, I try to make it work. I'm like saying, like, this is the problem that I'm having, if I can say it. If not, if it's something that you can't, like, absolutely can't deal with, if it's something I absolutely can't deal with, I find a different therapist, frankly. I had a therapist once when I was like 15 who I was like, well, I hate this sound. And he goes, oh, you mean like this? And then he made the sound. And I said, yes, like that. And I hate this one too. And he's like, oh, you mean like this? And my mom was there with me, and I looked at her and I walked out. That's how I deal with therapists that I don't like. Okay, stay tuned for part 2 of the eating disorder related questions.